we talked about the different types of sampling, where we had those that were biased and those that were unbiased. Biased sampling were ones that pretty much dealt with soft volunteers or easy access, being lazy, not going out there to find people, and finding people who are easy to obtain or subjects are easy to obtain. So those were considered to be biased because not all members of the population can have a chance to be selected. However, there's 4 methods of random sampling which happen to be unbiased, because if there's some type of randomness that's happened in the sampling, it's considered to be an unbiased sample. So the 4 methods we're looking at here is pretty much simple random sampling, systematic sampling, clustered, and stratified. So, going down further, each one is separate ways. We have to understand how they're all different and how they all consist of some type of random sampling, random selection that occurs within it. The first one we're going to talk about is the simple random. Simple random, in the previous videos that have shown to you guys or shown in class, simple random sampling is done through generators, either by hand, using machines like the slots used, or going to the events that have pretty much bingo. But technology can actually do it too, and pretty much we use technology in class, and we get to know how to use it also in the future. So here we go. So we're coming down to this random number generators for calculators. So there's pretty much 2 situations we'll be seeing. Some classes will permanently focus on just scientific calculators, and others will be doing graphic calculators. It depends on which class you have it for. So scientific calculators pretty much has the use of just random int. So you're always going to go for random int or rand int. And we're going to input in a lower limit and an upper limit. And for scientific calculators, pretty much we have to just repeat this function now n times for how many selections you want. So just keep pressing enter, and it will keep randomly regenerating, because calculators have their own random feeder that adjusts its count every single time. You never get the same thing every time you come in, other than those who teach you how to do the seeds, and then you'll be the same for everyone. But anyways, going on those graphic calculators, remember you have the same setup, but instead of having to keep the calculator multiple times, enter multiple times, we just put in the n number of times you want to select. It's not supposed to be there, pretty much it's supposed to be n number of selections, but it's pretty much that's what the n is representing, the number of selections. Going further into this idea, we are looking into what is lower limit and what is upper limit when it comes down to the calculator, bottom and top. The upper limit and lower limit pretty much happens to be the first and last member we have labeled within the population, respectively. So the lower goes to the first person, which is usually 1, or if you're continuing to count later on, if we had another number, whichever the first member that group is be selected, and the last number in the group that's been labeled will be the upper limit. That's pretty much what it's saying, and we put those guys into the technology. The one I'll be pretty much using is Casio. It's pretty much, for me, one of these things to navigate. I can do many things on Casio. So pretty much if you have that, you could use it, but once again, other films have different random sampling and generators that you could be looking at. So please look into those films and get the one that is for yours, your calculator. So let's put this into action. Let's actually do this and make a random sample. So let's just say we're just pretty much going for the general random sample of 5 members, or in this case 5 fish, so we know that fish. And we've seen that using simple random sampling. So let me just go ahead and start setting the activity that we're going to be putting in. And then we're going to be producing this good stuff right here. So let's put it in the book. This one's done. We get another blue one out. So this one should be good. We'll see right now. we're here looking pretty much at the number label that we're gonna have for the fish. So we've seen that type of fish. So this would be the members of the population who are now part of the sample. I can't spell, sorry. Type of fish. And over here we pretty much is nose to tail. Let's put it in as we go into this work. So what we're really doing here is, since I'm doing round sample 5, and let's get to the next step to see what's happening. So what we're seeing here is I'm going to be going for the rand int. And what I'm seeing here is when I did this population, I noticed that there's 54 fish. So I went ahead and started at the top left corner and then started counting horizontally as best as and organized as possible as I do it until I got to the bottom right, which was now 54 fish. So coming down to it, so number 1 here, this here is my upper limit. I'm going to start lower limit. So that's where my lower limit is located. Got the first fish I labeled, and the last fish I labeled was over here, 54. This is my upper. So I know my lower and upper limit. So I can put that in over here. So therefore I'm going to be putting in 1, 54. Okay. And I want to select 5 of them. Fish. I didn't write it. So therefore n should be 5. The different calculator, it might say bottom, top, n, so this, or lower, upper, n. So put those guys in. So I'm gonna find out what that set's gonna be. That's my objective. So I'm gonna go ahead and put in this calculator. Turn on. So pretty much everything is under prob at every single time. So our job is to find prob. So typically we have to do options. Let me just go ahead and get to the back of it. So option. And then I'm going to do stat. Then I'm going to find the prob. So everything's under probability. So I hit prob. Then I'm going to random. That's where the next randomness is. And I'm going to hit on int. So therefore, I have set up this function out right here. I'm going to do is put it into the calculator now, and I'm going to work 1, comma, 54, comma, 5. And I close the parentheses like I did earlier, and enter it. So what am I saying here is my sample is going to consist of the fish labeled 17, 12, 38, 48, and 25. Good thing, never repeat. If there was a repeater, we could permanently X it out, do another round of selection, and whichever number that occurred, and does not repeat with any of these guys here, could take its slot. And only if it says repeat is okay, then we'll repeat. But usually, everything is without repetition. So, now, come over here, let's go with this fish type. So 17, what is 17? 17, come over here. Its fish type happens to be the orange one, or the red-orange. So it's fish type 4, and its length is 2.7 centimeters. So fish type 4, length is 2.7 centimeters. So I'm pretty much just indicating what the fish, what is the subject, or in this case, fish is we're looking at, and it's that, our pain is that. Next, we have 12, so 12, where's 12 at? 12 is over here in this region, which is the big yellow guy. So therefore, he is type 10, and his length is 5.7. So when I switch type 10, length 5.7 centimeters. Okay, next one, 38. Where's 38 at? Oh, first one, no, with that. 38 happens to be right here, another orange one. And so therefore, fish type 4, same length, 2.7 centimeters. 48, where's 48 at? for the H be towards the bottom, or this little guy right here, which happens to be fish type number 3 with a length of 2.4 centimeters. And lastly, 25. And 25 happens to be close over here, so 1, 2, 8, 25 is the white one, which is fish type 5. So fish type 5 with a length of 32.2 centimeters. So fish type 5, 3.2 centimeters. Then we just go on box up 17, and then do it earlier, 17 right here. So the fish that I pretty much circled up, that were the 5 that are not that were over because they weren't selected, those are pretty much the fish that are in our sample. Hopefully the light's not glaring right here, but I know the light's supposed to be over here with the glare. But anyways, those are our sample. That's our sample. So we can kind of see how the sample is representing the population. Somewhat of a good mix of everything, but once again, a few members are not really selected, but that's how random sampling works. And that's one of the reasons why we would like to have a larger sample if there's a large variation within the sample and the size or the characteristics and measurements themselves. We would like to have a larger sample, so therefore it won't be too crucial at the end. But anyways, we did that. Oh, one more thing I was going to show is, like I said before, if I'm just curious, if I were to just constantly just re-enter, notice how the sample will always change because of the random seed generator that it does. So the calculator always has its own random generation of a number, of a big integer between 1 and I guess 1,000,000 or 1,000,000,000, or I might just keep more obvious to 1,000,000, and it just redoes the seed every single time without us having to re-input it or reinstate it. But anyways, that's that for the simple random sampling. So let's get to the systematic sampling and see how the systematic sampling differs from the simple random sampling. It has a process, a 3-step process in which needs to be obtained and done. I'm going to base these guys here. Okay. So, systematic sampling. What is systematic sampling? Pretty much the first step is determining our sample size. So we're going to keep the same sample size. We're going to do sample size, random sample of 5 fish, but we're going to be using systematic sampling versus simple random this time. So I'm going to erase the simple random to systematic and see the process as we're doing this. So, coming down to this, so first things we're going to determine sample size. We have done so. So our sample size here, we're saying that I'm going to let it be 5. For the population, I mean, the population size happens to be 54. The size. So pretty much that's situated. So next, what we're going to do here is we're going to find the kth member jump by dividing the population size by the simple random. By the sample size, and we're going to run to the nearest number. So when I do this, pretty much what I'm saying is, well, what's the population size? It's 54. So I'm going to put 54 right here. My sample size, once again, we chose it to be 5. So I'll put 5 here. And I'm going to divide. We put this in the calculator and divide, it ends up becoming pretty much 10.8, which when you round to the nearest value, it becomes 11. So we're talking about the 11th jump. So we'll be jumping every 11 spaces to get to the next member selected. But we can't, even though we have 11 going, we still need to figure out, okay, where we're going to start. And making sure that it's not biased, it's unbiased. So we have to get a random selection of the first member that we're going to choose from. However, who we're going to choose it from, we're going to choose it between the first member and the kth jump. So our kth jump happens to be 11. So therefore, our k here, this value here is actually 11. So we're saying we're going to pretty much random select the number that is between 1 and 11. And that's what comes into these formulas over here, where the k is. All we're doing here is saying k, it's 11. It says in k, it's 11. Okay. And all we're doing is selecting one person, because we just want to find where the starting point is at. And that's what we're doing now. So I'm going to go ahead and put that into my calculator and see what we get. So, once again, I have to find the random probability. So I have to get to my probability. Make sure I always click on random and do enter. And this time it's going to be from 1 to 11, because that's the key to jump. And I'm only choosing 1, because I just want one member to start with. So I put that in, and I end up getting 8. So the lucky number here happens to be 8. Okay, so we know our starting point. The first member we're going to choose is 8. And then we're going to work from there. Hopefully we can see what's right here, but unfortunately this is going to be blurred out, but it's okay. So when we get to the next step, now that we know the first member, so we know the first member in our group, and I guess I can start writing it here so we can see how the jump is working. Oh, it's in my arm. And once again, it's supposed to be systematic. So I'll go systematic up here. Okay. Systematic sampling. So we're saying that the first member is going to be 8. So we can either count every 11th jump, which does take time, and I was a few times when I was doing it myself. But definitely, we could just definitely, which homework is that? Somewhere. So what we're seeing here is, all we're going to do is, we're going to get the 8, and then I'm just going to add 11 to it to find the next one. So 8 plus 11 happens to be 19. So the next fish in our list is 19. Then I'm going to jump again 11. So I'm going to add 11 again to 19, and that's pretty much going to become 30. Fish number 30. And I'll repeat the process. So 11 again, add 11, making it 41. And so we have 4 so far, but I need 5, so I'm going to add one more 11, making it 52. So the numbers are steadily increasing by 11 until we get to the last member of our sample. Wow. And pretty much that's how it's working here, and that's what the third step is saying. Once start with the first member and then select selecting part in step 3, then obtain the remaining members by jumping every kth member, in our case every 11, and order the list. And that's what it is. I'm increasing in ascending order, because that's how much is made in order from 1 through 59. 54. But let's see how we do it by counting and see how it's we're first getting the same thing, and we could conclude that, hey, I didn't put my addition over here. You guys put that in calculator, plus 11 and repeat itself, plus plus plus. If you can't trust your basic math, you may not make errors. So I'm not perfect. Oh crap. So, let's go ahead and find it. So, the first one we said was supposed to be 8. So, I'm going to go ahead and circle 8. 8 happens to be this guy right here. Here's my lucky number 8. So, let me just count. So, right now, we know it's going to be fish type number 6. So, type 6 with a length of 2.0. Now let's get the next one by increasing. So 9, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Like I said, it was 19. So it is coming together. We're going to get you doing it to the very end. So type 10 is supposed to be here, and its length is 5.7. Next one, continue counting again. Well, we start at 19, so I'm going to start at 20. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Lucky number 30 is a big blue one. Which is fish type number 11. So fish type number 11, and its length happens to be 7.4 centimeters. So we have that in there. So now let's get to the next fish over, but notice how we're getting to the same number that's here. But obviously we continue the flow of just counting. So I'm at 30, now I'm continuing at 31. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Oh, there we go. I got my counter, but we're good. So 41, 41 is matching. Here's the count fish, which happens to be fish type 2. Okay? And its length is 2.8 centimeters. Am I wrong? No, 1.8 centimeters. And lastly, fish number 52 is supposed to be the last one, but let's see if that's true. So 42 starts over here, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 52. Which is another count fish. So we're pretty much looking at a fish type 2 and 1.8 centimeters. So here we go again. So just knowing the labeling is not good enough, because I'm like, okay, what are these guys? These are just labels. Who are these people who, let's say, oh, here's ID number, blah, blah, blah. And the person goes, okay, what is that? Oh, what do you give me? Is that, do I know that person? We don't know until you give them their identification, their names. So over here, we have to identify who the fish are. Okay, that corresponds to the number label. And this is just the data we obtain. It could be any data that they're asking us for or is listed. And we have to know that just make sure we list all the information that's provided for that particular individual, which kind of we have on the side. When you do an activity, that won't be required. You just be determining if it has yellow or not, pretty much in your activity, or any type of color, in this case. Later on, in the future, we're going to be doing a hypothesis test with a group. It might not be this one, but it might be a different set of fish, so we could get more variability in here. But anyways, that's where we're at for right now, and we're going to go ahead and move on to clustering. But hopefully you understand how systematic works. Systematic is pretty much, we got to determine the K jump between the population to ensure that we get every member to have a chance of being selected. And then we find the starting point and we build from there. That's how systematic pretty much works. 3-step process. It was 3 steps. I'll go back. Yeah. Anyways, let's just go ahead into cluster. So I'm going to raise the board so we can see the cluster is working. And where's my other papers at? I'm going to pick papers out from my bag, which will be pretty quick. How is the clustering working? So let's pretty much look at the steps of clustering first, and then we'll go ahead and do the actual clustering that I'm doing. And we're going to take out the clustering sample, and I might need more space, so we'll get to that. Oh, we didn't need that. Anyways, let's just go ahead and go on that side. I should just keep on with me from now on. That was earlier. But anywho, we're just going to be performance based on this. But cluster. But this might change because of clustering. You're going to find out when you do clusters, it's not specific to size. It's pretty much specific to clusters themselves, because each cluster might have a different amount of values in it. So we're just gonna say, okay, it's around, we have more than enough, or we're close to enough, so we can go ahead and do our study from there. But let's just go ahead and come over here and get to the plasma clustering. So 3-step process for clustering. First step is, when we have a population, we're going to divide them into groups. So each group doesn't have to be the same size, nor does it have to have the same amount of individuals or participants or subjects within it. And one important thing is it pretty much ignores characteristics. So we're just grouping them. I want the top right, top left, middle, bottom right, bottom left, top, and then the top middle, top right. If you want to make a 6 checker point, or however you want to do things, however you want to section up the groups. But anyways, you can this as being like kind of the states of in America, or just say the United States of America, all the states there, the 52 states. And then within the states, we also have countries, or AKA counties as well, that actually are subdivisions. And within there, obviously, we have cities, and also districts and organizations. Okay? So we have different types of groups or clusters that we could definitely use within sampling, depending on what we're focusing on in our population. So that's what we say by making clusters. And then from here, we're going to determine how many clusters do we want to randomly select, okay, and then obtain them using a random generator. So make sure also when we're clustering, you label them. So we're just constantly labeling. So label them 1 through whatever, how many clusters you have made. Then select how many you want, okay, by random. After we select the clusters, we're going to pretty much put every member that is inside the randomly selected clusters have to be included in the sample. Okay. So every member in the cluster that's randomly selected gets included in the sample no matter what. So that's how cluster works. So let's pretty much see how this is going to be working here. Oh crap, that's right, I have to change this guy. So I'll pretty much be using this board. I'm about to raise switch over here, so we could see it happening on the other screen. So when it comes over here, if you can notice, I pretty much put it into clusters, and I'll just come down to see better. So I divided into clusters where pretty much we have the top right, top left, top right, middle right, mid left, mid right, bottom left, bottom right, 6 sections. This could have been grouped any other way, but I just easily just folded up the papers. So pretty much all I did was I got a copy of the photo, and I just folded it in half, and then I folded it into 3 parts evenly, like we would do for letters, to put into mail. But that's all I pretty much did, and so after I got the creases or the divisions, I just noted them. And one problem here is you can notice a few issues about the images, which I think I'm going to put over here for now so we can just pinpoint some issues. And pretty much the key issue is the bleeding of fishes, or the overlapping of fish. So we can definitely see that some fish happen to be in more than one region. So what we're saying here, for example, we can see that bleeding at 49, it's in both regions, but we can definitely see that it's more towards 6. So we know 49, I'm going to include it into the 6 cluster. Come over here to 34, we see the same thing happening. So 34, we're going to note that it's going to be in the 4th cluster. The calculation is doing probably the same thing to notice. But you can see that we could assume that more of the body is on the bottom. So it could also be a part of the 4th cluster. And I'm having these as mental notes because I can't really write on that, so I'm not gonna try to write on them. And it's shifted up, over supposed to write below, so I can just write on the whiteboard. So coming more over here to this side, this clownfish, obviously you can see it's more on this side. This one, you can definitely see it's more on top, so this is fish number 19. Coming down to number 7, it appears to be like more than half of it. It's over here, it's going to be 50-50, but we just say, okay, it looks like it's more over here, so I'll put the 7 over here if necessary. And the other ones, oh, coming over here. This guy appears to be more on the bottom, so down in section 5, while this here appears to be more on top, so I'll make sure he's in that region. And we can clearly see this one is in this region. Is there any other ones that we should worry about? That appears to be all the ones who seem to be in multiple regions in regards to the body. So, pretty much mental note, you can just pause it, take a picture of it, but later on, I already can memorize them because I already sectioned them out in my head. And pretty much, I just put it for you guys to see how I'm pretty much sectioning them into certain regions, into certain clusters. So I'm pretty much going to go back to the previous slide and get to the process, while I'll keep this one on the board so we could pretty much see how the rest of the process is being done. So, now, here we go. Okay. So recently, what I mentioned before is I made 6 clusters. So we divided the clusters, and we know that we made into 6 clusters. So that means our M over here is going to be 6. So looking at it, if I want to keep to the idea of selecting 5 fish, it looks like just getting 1 cluster would be more than enough. So I'm just going to get 1 cluster. Obviously, you want more sample or a larger sample. 2 clusters would be more efficient. But I'm trying to keep the same size of 5 fish. So therefore, I'm only going to be selecting 1. So over here, determine how many clusters that are selected. I'm only going to be choosing one of them. It appears that that's going to be, so M is supposed to be 6. I'm supposed to do this one here. That's supposed to be 6. Okay. And pretty much that's all I'm going to put into my calculator right now. You won't see it because I'm going to pretty much keep that up there so we could get the sample size and have it over here. So I won't be doing a full table for this one, so we won't be getting confused going back and forth, but that's what's happening. So I'm just going to do it real quick. So turn on, go to probability, random int, and 1, 6, 1. And I got 3. So what we're seeing here is at the end of the day, we end up getting over here 3. So what are we saying here? Well, what we're definitely saying here is all fish in cluster 3 is to be included in the sample. So what are these fish in cluster 3? So cluster 3 is right here. And then remember before, we said that this guy is going over here, this one's coming down here, while this one is coming down here to this one, because it appears to be 150. So that was the adjustment we made. So if you do it, if you read on this, we're saying the label, the number levels we're going to be looking here, label that we're going to be looking here is going to be 13, 14, 15, 16, 18, 30, 40, and lastly 33. So we're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 6, 7, sample size of 7. Pretty much all I need to do is, remember, labels, they don't really mean anything. So it's very important that we get the actual fish identities and obtain the measurements that we're focusing on. That's the most important thing, but we definitely notice that our sample size was ended up being 8, 7. Sample size of 7. And that's pretty much how clustering works. So notice how I divide them into groups. I didn't care about the categories. I didn't care about the number of fish that was in each group. I just made sure I spaced them evenly based off the locations. Then I randomly select the cluster. That's most important. I randomly select the cluster. Okay? And at the end, I chose, I included all those fish that happened to be in the cluster that was randomly selected. And that is my sample. That's how cluster works when you're using technology and using this guy here process. Okay, so I'll get to the last one. Also, the one that requires a little more time than most others. Clustering, that's not that difficult. Just group them and then enjoy the rest of the time. Oops. Let me go back to the erase part. So next one we're going to talk about here is stratified sampling. That's the fourth type of random sampling that's out there. This one here actually focuses on characteristics. So if you want to make sure we're not misrepresenting certain characteristics of population, stratification is the one that kind of does the key instance. If you're doing a test, you want to test different groups of different clusters, or in this case, different stratas to see what's happening, to look around within stratas, and test them to see if what our claim is true, or there's really any effect or difference between groups of populations or regions. But anyways, come over here, stratified sampling. So stratified sampling itself is pretty much a process that is done. Let me just change the screen for the revision real quick. Okay. So the first step for stratified sampling is pretty much we're going to be placing members of the population into strata. So the strata are pretty much groups that have common traits. Okay. Then within each strata, relabel each member. So that I can do random sampling within there using the generator. And step 2, I'm going to select a sample from each strata. Okay. Usually the sample we're doing here is pretty much proportional to the group. So the proportions of the stratas compared to the group should be the proportion of the sample itself. Within the sample. So we're going to use non-general to do it again. So this way it's unbiased, so it could be good instead of random. And so right here, what we're saying here, instead of putting K or M here, is pretty much P. So P is going to differ based off how many participants or labeling we do within each strata. Okay, not all strata have the same amount of groups, so we have to have a different upper limit for each one. Okay, and it would change depending on the strata itself to keep proportional or whatever has been determined by the person who makes the problem or the decisions. That's all it is. So P is the amount of members in the stratas, while N is the number of selections we're going to be making within each strata. Okay. And then lastly, once we have randomly selected the sample from each sample, from each strata, all members that were randomly selected within each strata will be included in the sample. And that's how stratifying sampling works. So pretty much I'm going to get to the next slide that's on this one, and get the process pretty much there. Step 2, step 1 and 2 are there. and step 3 is the one thing that we have to figure out last. And we'll be doing that as we do the work. So let's go to the next slide and see how that's working. So, here we go. And I'll change that so when time comes in, I'll change that big screen. So, ignore the red from right now, and the blue and green. If you notice, they're color-coded because they're different shadows. But the black ones here are the labeling of the fish by the population. Like I said before, we want to first put them in the stratas, then relabel them. So all the black numbers here are the actual fish from the population, and we'll see that right now, if I could reach the very top. So, what are the 3 standards I chose? So as over here, we're going to place each fish into one of the 3 strata, which is small, medium, or large. Where small fish have the length less than 3 centimeters, medium fish have the length less than between 3 centimeters and 5 centimeters, and the large fish have length longer than 5 centimeters. That's what we're going to do, and then we're going to relabel them. So first and first, let's get them into the stratas. I'm going to see how each one's working, so I'll start with a few. So definitely, what are considered to be small? Well, over here, I labeled what the small fish are. So definitely type 1, type 2, type 3, and type 4. The first 4 pretty much are small because of their lengths. And also type 6 is small because of its length. All those guys have lengths that are less than 3. So now I know what kind of fish I'm looking at. I'm going to see are those fish up here. So the first one I'm seeing here is number 3. It's one of the small fish, and notice how it's over there in this region. 3 is right here. Then we're going to see 5, 8, 9, and 10, as well as 11, are also small fish by looking at this. So next one, medium, big, medium, small, 5. Then 8, small, 9 is small, 10, and 11. They're all small. And that's pretty much what I did. So I just kept on going and found all the small ones. And I pretty much just went in order from numerical, so I won't get confused. The labels that I have for them. After I've done that, I then gave them relabels that I could use within this strata. So since there was actually 30 of them, I went from 1 to 3. And that's pretty much how I got the strata, the fish group in the first strata, which is small fish. And I pretty much repeated the same process for each one of them. So for medium, once again, it was supposed to be between 3 and 9. Between 3 inches and 3 centimeters and 5 centimeters. So the fish types I did it was actually fish type 5 with a measure of 3.2, fish type 7 with a measure of 4.9, fish type 8 with a measure of 4.8, and fish type 9 with a measure of 4.4 centimeters. So any of these fish who occur in this population gets inputted into the medium fish. And I just did the same process like I did for the small. And then the large did the same thing. I first labeled I identified which were the large ones. And then I looked inside the population in order and I labeled them. That's all I did. So we can clearly see in this region, there's definitely much more smaller fish based off the strata that I made. There's much more smaller fish compared to the medium and large. So when I'm doing proportions, I can definitely see that over here, if I'm doing proportional wise, this one here should have a smaller one, about almost half of this one, where this one here should be almost double this guy. Okay, it's almost double, this one here is about double. And that's pretty much how I can do my proportional gathering. So this could be 2, this one could be 4 or 5, depending on how many I chose. So what did I do? I said I'm going to choose 1 from here, therefore I'm going to choose 2 from here, and over here I went ahead and chose 5. Okay. And that's pretty much what I did there. It could be 3, 4, or 5, but I just chose 5. And its pretty much will be somewhat proportional to the population itself. So I kind of keep it to the proportions, which is what I was aiming for. But anyways, let's go ahead and continue with this. So going further, Now that I have this, I'm gonna go ahead and get the sample from each one. And I'm gonna pretty much be using this board over here to get the rest of the work. So now I have the label, I can now just go ahead and get to my actual calculations. So, I'll put this back here. This guy's not in the way. Okay. So, once again, we already said instead, oh, why did I go back? Okay, here we are. We already said that, come over here for the small sample, or for a small fish. We want 5. We're going to set 5. So what we're saying here is I'm going to put a ran int, and I'm going to look over here and say, okay, what's my lower limit? 1 upper limit is 30, and I'm going to choose 5. So 1, 30, and 5. Remember, if it's the other calculator, it's pretty much just the same thing, ran int, but you're just doing 1 and 30. That's what you're doing for that one. And this for scientific, but this for graphing. I'll keep to this, and I'm going to figure out where that's going to happen. Next, I'm going to go and get to the medium one. And the medium fish, I want to select 2 of them. So what we're going to hear is going to be ran int, and I'm going to do 1. With this one here, the upper limit is supposed to be 16.